Video game developer Bungie announced it was laying off over 200 people, around 17% of its workforce. And Mark Kern, former World of Warcraft team lead, says it's all self inflicted. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And before we get to what Mark Kern had to say, let's take a look at what Bungie said announcing these layoffs. As I said, 17%, around 220 employees were laid off. Roles were eliminated. And this is what Bungie CEO and chairman Pete Parsons said in a blog post. He says, due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions, it has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon. That means beginning today, 220 of our roles will be eliminated, representing roughly 17% of our studio's workforce. These actions will affect every level of the company, including most of our most of our executive and senior leader roles. He later stated, I realize all of this is hard news, especially following the success we have seen with the final shape, that is the latest expansion for Destiny 2. But as we've navigated the broader economic realities over the last year, and after exhausting all other mitigation options, this has become a necessary decision to refocus our studio and our business with more realistic goals and viable financials. So, as he said here, 220, 17%. It's actually a lot more than that. They just found a way not to eliminate them. They have sent them over to Sony, which is Bungie's parent company, and have spun off a segment of their company into a brand new company. Parsons revealed this later in the blog post. He says, first, we are deepening our integration with Sony Interactive Entertainment, working to integrate 155 of our roles. It's weird that he's saying roles. Like, these are actual people. Why don't you just say employees or our people? Roles is just, it's dehumanizing. It's just weird you would use that language. Roughly 12% into Sony Interactive Entertainment over the next few quarters. Sony Interactive Entertainment has worked tirelessly with us to identify roles for as many of our people as possible, enabling us together to save a great deal of talent that would otherwise have been affected by the reduction in force. Second, we are working with PlayStation Studios leadership to spin out one of our incubation projects, an action game set in a brand new science fantasy universe, to form a new studio within PlayStation Studios to continue its promising development. So it's actually around 500 people being removed from Bungie. So they're basically reducing their company from around 1,300 people to around 800 people. Huge, huge reduction in the workforce there. He then explained how Bungie got to the point where it has had to basically cut its entire workforce in half. For over 5 years, it has been our goal to ship games in 3 enduring global franchises. To realize that ambition, we set up several incubation projects, each seated with senior development leaders from our existing teams. We eventually realized that this model stretched our talent too thin, too quickly. It also forced our studio support structures to scale to a larger level than we could realistically support, given our 2 primary products in development, Destiny and Marathon. Additionally, in 2023, our rapid expansion ran headlong into a broad economic slowdown, a sharp downturn in the games industry. Our quality missed with Destiny 2 Lightfall, and the need to give both the final shape and Marathon the time needed to ensure both projects deliver at the quality our players expect and deserve. We were overly ambitious. Our financial safety margins were subsequently exceeded, and we began running in the red. That's right. Parsons is admitting that he began operating this company at a loss and we're operating in the red. How is he still at this company? How is this guy the one letting people know they're being laid off? He should have been axed first. This is unacceptable. He's the one that is making these decisions. He's the one leading this company. He's the one who should have been removed. letting go of your developers, letting go of mid-level employees isn't going to change the overall strategic outlook of your company. They're not making the decisions that lead to operating the company in the red. Nevertheless, he goes on and says this: after this new trajectory became clear, we knew we had to change our course and speed, and we did everything we could to avoid today's outcome. Clearly not, because you're still in charge. Clearly not. Even with exhaustive efforts undertaken across our leadership and product teams to resolve our financial challenges, these steps were simply not enough. As a result, today we must say goodbye to incredible talent, colleagues, and friends. So despite these massive layoffs and the apparent gutting of the studio, Parsons attempted to be optimistic as he concluded the post, saying, Bungie will continue to make great games. We still have over 850 team members building Destiny and Marathon, and we will continue to build amazing experiences that exceed our players' expectations. I don't know. That seems like a lot. 850 people to make 2 games. I don't know. That seems like a lot. It seems like you could probably do that with a lot less, but that's just me. There will be a time to talk about our goals and projects, but today is not that day. Today, our focus is on supporting our people, he concluded. So this is what Mark Kern had to say. This is his reaction. He has a number of posts here, but this one, he said this: Bungie layoffs were self-inflicted. A lot of Destiny players moved on to First Descendant, which currently has double the number of players online on PC alone. Bungie celebrated Pride and called critics bigots. First Descendant celebrates Summer instead. You can see there, if you look at the numbers, I think First Descendant now is 246,860. That's its concurrent peak. Obviously, just releasing in the last 24 hours, I think it's right around 118 there, I think is what that says, 351. And then if you look over here at Destiny 2, obviously it had a peak concurrent of 316, but this game has been out since 2019. It did just release what is it? What are they calling it here? The final path or something like that. The final shape. The final shape. They did just release the final shape in June. So that's where you see this big spike here where they released that. But even then, it's already kind of gone downhill. Players abandoning the game. Peak concurrent only at 66,000. And very, like what Grummz said there, almost double what Destiny 2 is doing, around 120 to 66 there. And then obviously the difference between Pride and a bathing suit. I think that is a very clear difference there in that as well. But he went on and also wrote this. He says, Bungie became incredibly political and woke over the years, while the quality of their DLC started to slip dramatically. DEI, which emphasizes checkbox hiring over merit, has profound impacts on the studio. When you start promoting and hiring activists, the product suffers. What is happening at Bungie is terrible, but many studios also realize that they took on too many activists, and the smart ones are prioritizing layoffs to trim this fat. Now, whether or not that's actually what Bungie is doing, we will have to see. Time will tell on that front. But if Pete Parsons is still there, I doubt we will see any kind of significant changes on that. Again, this is the guy who led them down this path in the first place. Grummz also said this: Destiny was losing money, which Pete Parsons admitted. They're running in the red. Bungie was running at a loss prior to the layoffs. The layoffs were going to be around 500 people. I'm hearing 350 to 500, but see below. But they managed to transfer 155 to Sony and 75 to start a new Sony studio. So it's still around 500 people. So they were able to save some people's positions inside Sony and then creating this whole brand new studio, which still one has to wonder what parts of the business were operating in the red. Was this incubation project operating in the red? One would assume it was, given the fact that it's not bringing in any revenue. So that is something that was clearly just costing them. It was a cost. There was no revenue being generated from it. So that is probably a portion that is running in the red. And obviously they still have 850 people that are developing Destiny 2 and Marathon, which has not been released yet either, and clearly has not brought in any revenue to cover any of its costs. So that is a major cost to them too, forcing them to operate in the red. Hopefully, the hope there obviously is to recoup a lot of those costs in sales, but we'll see. Grummz also reacted to a post from Mangalore that highlighted Parsons' official account on X, and he commented, "The DI rot starts at the top for Bungie." It does indeed, and this is true with all throughout society. It starts at the top. Our society is hierarchical. When people at the top make decisions, it funnels down to the bottom. This whole idea that culture trickles upwards, it's utterly ridiculous for the most part. Almost all the time, it comes top down, and that is how things operate in general. That is how the world is created. There is a hierarchy. You can look at it from the animal kingdom, where the lion preys on the zebra. There's a clear hierarchy on who eats who, and how they deal with each other. That's just how God made the world. And so if you have someone at the top pushing this DEI agenda, you're going to rot the company. And that's exactly what grummz is pointing out here. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. I mean, you can see this post here. The guy literally has social racism and social injustice, whatever that means, clearly prioritizing being an activist in his bio there. And then also the inclusion of the I don't know if that's the Bungie logo or the Destiny 2 logo or whatever it is there in their like pride flag colors. Obviously, noting that is the religion that he worships at. It's a false religion. grummz also shared that he believes Bungie should likely cut more people and pointed to Elon Musk's takeover of X as an example. I actually agree with this, kind of commented on this earlier. 850 people that are developing Destiny 2 and Marathon seems like quite a bit, and grummz seems to concur with that. He says AAA game budgets and team sizes are insane. Elon Musk showed the way. Bungie and other AAA studios could cut deeper. Look at Bungie's X feed full of DEI activism. Remember when they removed something that looked like the Keck flag? Turns out you don't need many people. Turns out you don't need many people if you're still trying to run some sort of glorified activist organization. You can really let go a lot of people, it turns out. That's obviously a quote there from Elon Musk. He does provide that there in the link. If you want to look that, I'll have the link in the description below so you can check that post out. And to grummz' point, the studio has been focusing on things other than making video games. The company made numerous posts on social media pushing LGBTQ plus lifestyles and transgender ideology. One in 2022 noted it was selling pride pins and it would donate all proceeds to an organization called Advocates of Trans Equality. In 2018, the company announced it was wasting its money on the Seattle Pride Parade, an event that has featured adult men exposing themselves to the public. So you can see that there in this post here. And then they've also advocated for the murder of children. In June 2022, they posted this on its blog. Last month, we stated without reservation that all of us deserve to choose our own path and access to healthcare we need. The decision by the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade cuts off millions of Americans from that access and leaves open the possibility of even further restrictions on life-saving healthcare for all of us. I mean, these people just lie, and lie some more. They are literally advocating for killing people while trying to say that they're advocating for life-saving healthcare when they're literally trying to kill other human beings. It's sick, it's evil, it's disgusting, and it's wrong. So I'm not going to have a pity party or cry that this company is going down the drain when they are advocating something so absolutely heinous and evil. If you can't respect the most innocent of all lives, how can you make any kind of moral decision if you can't make that one? It destroys societies, and we see it all around us. We see it all around us. We see what happens when you cannot actually respect the most innocent of all lives. It fundamentally ruins societies. They also added this in that blog post. Bungie is committed to ensuring that every one of our employees and their families have safe and affordable access to essential healthcare needs as we continue to expand our digital-first workplace to more states. We will now be implementing a travel reimbursement program for any employee to use when they or dependent cannot get access to the healthcare they need where they live. So they are literally funding child murder. It's absolutely sick. It's absolutely disgusting. So I hope that this company continues to go down the hill unless they make radical decisions. They rebuke this statement. They stop doing this stuff. They say no to this agenda, and they just get back to making good video games where they show people doing good things. not trying to push this stuff and this stuff. It's sick, it's evil, it's wrong. And companies that do this deserve to be shut down. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.